In this podcast episode, Jay interviews Jefferson Fischer, a former trial lawyer turned communication expert who shares practical insights and strategies to improve conversations in relationships, the workplace, and family dynamics. Jefferson breaks down common communication pitfalls and offers tools for navigating difficult discussions with calm, clarity, and emotional intelligence. The discussion centers on understanding emotional needs behind conflict, handling tough conversations, managing boundaries, repairing relationships, and creating environments that foster honest dialogue. Jefferson emphasizes that arguments are not a contest to win, but moments to unravel misunderstandings and hidden needs. He explains that the real struggle in conflicts is often a desire to feel understood, not to dominate or defeat the other person. Approaching conversations with the goal of connection rather than victory transforms the interaction and builds deeper relationships. Many avoid difficult conversations out of fear of negative outcomes like rejection or job loss. Jefferson encourages leaning into these moments because postponing them only delays inevitable reckoning and can cause greater damage. He highlights that vulnerability in tough talks leads to more authentic bonds and greater relational growth. Crucially, it's not the conversation that causes harm, but the avoidance and unspoken truths that corrode relationships. Fear often originates from worries about being weak, rejected, or insufficient. Jefferson suggests the key to overcoming these fears is recognizing that it is not your job to manage others' feelings, and that authenticity is more valuable than people-pleasing. When people understand they are enough on their own, they gain confidence to speak their truth and invite true connection. One common communication mistake is assuming words sent match words received. Jefferson advises checking in by asking, "What did you hear?" to clarify intent before misunderstandings deepen. This practice prevents arguments from shifting focus to tone or delivery and keeps the conversation centered on substance and meaning. When someone clings to a belief, Jefferson explains this belief is usually intertwined with their identity, making it difficult to change through facts or logic alone. Instead, validating the person's feelings and values and introducing ideas without pressure opens space for curiosity and eventual change. Patience and ongoing dialogue far outstrip attempts to force persuasion. In situations where loved ones refuse to engage, Jefferson advocates opening the door gently with acknowledgement of distance, mistakes, and an invitation to talk without demands. If communication remains closed, he suggests embodying a lighthouse by maintaining presence and openness without forcing interaction, signaling readiness for connection when the other is prepared. When triggered by a partner's words or actions, Jefferson recommends slowing down through controlled breathing and pausing before reacting. This space allows the emotional sting to lessen and creates room for a calm, clear response. Echoing the other's words silently can also prompt them to reconsider what was said, reducing the impact of hurtful remarks. Using silence as punishment is seen as a sign of low emotional intelligence. Instead of pleading or retaliating, Jefferson advises explicitly recognizing the silence, offering space, and communicating readiness to talk when they are. This approach preserves dignity and avoids escalating the conflict unnecessarily. True intimacy requires accepting the full spectrum of another person, including their vulnerabilities and difficult emotions. Jefferson notes that if one lacks capacity for the messy aspects of a partner, the relationship is unlikely to thrive. Deep connection is tested not during smooth moments, but in the ability to sit together in struggle. Most conflicts are fueled by unaddressed emotional needs rather than surface issues. Repair happens through validation, acknowledging the other's feelings without judgment and slowing down to hear the underlying wounds. Quick, consistent repair prevents microfractures from accumulating and eroding trust over time. Judgment from parents often masks deep care and fear about children's well-being. Jefferson suggests reframing parental criticism as a form of concern rather than rejection. Setting boundaries around topics or time spent and responding by acknowledging the underlying values helps maintain respect while protecting emotional space. Setting boundaries and saying no authentically starts by leading with the no rather than excuses or apologetic justifications. Jefferson encourages framing refusals as promises kept to oneself, which others will respect. If pressure or guilt follows, giving space before responding allows one to uphold standards calmly without being drawn into conflict. Interruptions at work should initially be allowed to flow, as some interruptions are unintentional or reflect neurodiversity like ADHD. After the first interruption, calmly restarting the point sets a tone of patience and control. If interruptions persist, setting clear and logical boundaries around listening and turn-taking promotes respect and effective communication. Employees advocating for themselves do best by approaching leaders with curiosity and a learner's mindset, asking for advice rather than confrontation. Leaders, on the other hand, foster growth by making room for difficult conversations and setting shared communication values and standards. This creates a culture where open dialogue and continuous improvement thrive. Jefferson highlights that pausing, breathing, and consciously slowing conversations diffuse tension. Instead of defensiveness or rushing to prove oneself right, these practices open a space for understanding and connection. Patience and intentional pacing create opportunities for repair rather than further harm. Consistent, intentional actions in communication build momentum toward healthier relationships and work environments. Discomfort from setting boundaries or having tough conversations is a sign of growth, akin to muscle soreness after physical workouts. Embracing discomfort enables lasting changes and more authentic connections. Love is framed as radical honesty and self-disclosure, supported by emotional safety. The ability to handle imperfections and be fully seen forms the foundation of lasting bonds. Jefferson stresses that relationships don't break over a single misstep, but over repeated missed opportunities for repair and understanding. Communication grounded in genuine care, validation, and openness paves the way for deeper connection and resilience.